Hi friends, Mindy here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be adding some pockets and things into this little golden book that I have started, but I thought I would just take you along and share what I have done so far. I was going to do this on camera and I was just working on it at different times. I worked on it at a retreat and some different things, and so I don't have any footage of that, but I will show what I have done so far. So this little golden book is actually it's called My Christmas Treasury, and so it's a series of stories. This isn't just one story from start to finish, and I actually really love that about this, and I will talk about some of the copyright dates here in a second. But I did add a spine, so it's about 1.5 inch spine that I added to make this a little bit wider. I knew that as I was adding pockets and things, it's just going to grow, and I did save the original cover. I saved the story all the way throughout, and I'm just altered this just as much as adding in this piece of fabric so that I could sew in my signatures. And in doing it this way, I was able to also preserve the pages so that I didn't have to trim them down and lose some of the images that way. And so in the front, there is a publishing date here of 1976, and then this is saying that the fourth printing was 1980. So this book was actually produced, you know, technically would be vintage, but it's not like super vintage. But some of the stories that are in here have earlier copyright dates. One of them, which is called Christmas Morning, has a copyright of 1922. There's another one that has a copyright of 1954, and you can kind of see it reflected in the artwork, the children's artwork, and different things that are in here. And I just think that's really interesting. And so you'll see, I'm just going to flip through and show you a few of the stories, and then I'll get to the adding in of the pockets. But I did go through and add in some additional papers in between each of the pages. So I have this is just some scrapbook paper. These were actually two very thin pages that I inserted, and then I glued them together. And then I also have some coffee dyed paper. So that's kind of, you'll see that in between each of the pages. And then, so you have a little poem here that's called Don't Look by Katherine Jackson. And then you move into this one, which is called The Snowshoe Rabbits. This is also by Katherine Jackson. So this again this is a compilation of things, not just, you know, one specific story. Then in this section, I did add a piece of hymnal. Again, I have the scrapbook papers, I have some coffee dyed papers, and then because I don't want to do anything to the pages that actually have the story on them, I want to be able to add my pockets and things to the inner pages, so I don't want to cover up any of this. And then this is that same story continued on. Then I have another hymnal, some more scrapbook paper. This is kind of the center of this signature, and then this part of their story. And then you get to the end of the little rabbit's story, and then I have, again, the coffee dyed, the scrapbook paper, and the hymnal. And then one of these poems, it's actually turned into a song as well. And then you have this part, which is talking about Christmas around the world, which I love this. So you have some Spain and England, and then again, the same coffee dyed paper situation, scrapbook paper, and then so Italy and Norway and the Netherlands, Poland, Mexico, Yugoslavia. I love just all of the images, and so this was really hard. This is why I didn't want to alter these pages. Denmark, Philippines, I just love all of the little images here. Then back to some scrapbook paper, a hymnal, and then into this one that's called Christmas Morning. And I love that even within the book, the kind of the colors and things shift. So in here, I've tried to be mindful of that with the scrapbook paper and stuff that I've added. So we have kind of more yellows and things in here. So I've gone with that color scheme just a little bit more in the yellows and greens, instead of like really just bright, bold, green and red. And then we get into Have a Mary, and so then we're back to those bright, you know, just traditional colors. And then I have a hymnal, page from a hymnal that's Christmas Tree, and then we have little Santa there, and just some more scrapbook paper, like I said. Here I have hymnal but no coffee dyed, and then here we have some coffee dyed. This one is the lights on the Christmas tree. I think this one's really cute as well. And then again, here's just the rest of that paper, and then this little bear at the very end. and some more scrapbook paper, and then this Christmas tree is kind of the last of it, and then this page that says Christmas Everywhere. It's a little poem here. And I just wanted to, like I said, I wanted to save all of the images and everything in here, so I will be adding my pockets to the scrapbook paper and the coffee dyed paper that is in here, and then that way I can keep the rest of this intact because it's just so sweet. So what I have done is actually pulled some printables from the Junk Journal Studio that I thought would kind of work with this. I want to say that one of the sets, it might be the entire set, I cannot remember because I actually printed this last year, but it's called the Christmas Fussy Cut Mega Pack, I think that's right. But she has, you know, other sets as well. So I will put Michelle at the Junk Journal Studio, her link to her Etsy shop down in the description. Her kits are always just chock full of lots of things. And so what I have done, and I did this off camera too, is I took some of these larger images that I felt like would make really good pockets, and I backed them with some vintage paper. And this is a really good way if you are using like a printable and you just want to make it a little bit sturdier, and you have maybe some vintage paper that's a little bit more friable. It's just a little bit, you know, fragile. And like this, I love the patina on this paper. It's actually from a dictionary, but I was excited about the size of the dictionary and everything, but when I got it, it was just, it's very brittle. And so anytime I would like take a page and fold it, it would just crack. And so instead of just, you know, getting rid of that, I'm just finding another way to use it. So I'm just using it to back some of these things to make them just a little bit sturdier. I like my pockets to feel, you know, to feel sturdy, not just be copy weight paper. And so I'm going to go through here and kind of decide where I want some of these to go. I did try to be mindful of, you know, some of the colors that are in here as well as I'm working through. And then I'll see kind of where I'm at with this stack after I've gotten this, because I have a whole other stack of things that I haven't even put to coffee dyed paper yet. So that's where I'm at now. I'm just going to start with creating the pockets, and then let me know if you'd like to see another video where I work on doing some tags and journaling cards and things to actually fill those pockets. Maybe I'll have time to do that in this video. We'll just see, but I wanted to just kind of share where I was at with this little process for this altered little golden book. So earlier I mentioned that I was using the Christmas Fussy Cut Mega Pack, and I think that's more for the ephemera. I think these actual bigger, large images of these kind of postcards and things actually came from the Christmas Ephemera Mega Pack, which is like 33 pages of images. And so sorry for the confusion there, but just go check out Michelle's shop. She's got some beautiful Christmas kits there. And then what you see me doing here is just kind of a random pull of these cards. I'm just trying to decide how I want them to look. And so there's just a lot of going back and forth. This process I find to be the easiest if I just sort of randomly work my way through. I will move things around. You'll see even by the time these get glued, they get glued in a couple of different ways from how I think and I want them initially. I'm just trying to match up images that I feel look good with the scrapbook paper that I have in here, but also with the story that's behind and the images that are kind of behind there as well. And that sort of is determining the position of some of these papers. And so like this one, I felt like this paper, because it was just really dark red and green, I wanted it to be just a little bit brighter. So I'm adding something that has the white there. And you can see my pages have curled quite a bit because I did not leave them under my mat long enough, but they'll be just fine. They will flatten out, but I do have to fiddle with them just a little bit. And again, I'm just trying to go back and forth, keeping in mind the pages that are around it, the scrapbook paper that I'm using here. I can't quite decide what I want to put on this Christmas tree paper that's in the middle. I added some of that in there because some of these pages have some lighter blue color in there, and then I was having trouble deciding what I wanted to put for some pockets, so I may come back in and change that. And for right now, I'm just adding the pockets to the scrapbook paper because it's the busier paper, and it will allow me to just insert tags or journaling cards or things like that, and then still leave the coffee dyed paper open for journaling, memory keeping, December daily, whatever. And so I may come back and add some things to the coffee dyed paper, but for right now, I'm just starting with adding the pockets to the scrapbook paper itself. And again, just kind of going through, trying to be mindful of the page that I'm working on, the storyline, where I sort of want everything. This Christmas tree ends up actually moving to another part of this book later on, but that's just kind of part of the process. And so I'm not going to make you watch me do all of that, but I'm just go back and forth until I think I have everything mostly the way that I want it. And then even as I'm gluing things, sometimes I will change my mind, and that's okay too. It just is kind of a way to get it jump started. So I'm not going to make you watch me glue down all of these pockets, but I do want to just show a few of them so you can kind of see my process here as well, since I have missed kind of the first actual, process video for this series. But what I am doing is taking these larger images, and I am using my big circle punch, and I'm just cutting a little notch for like a thumb notch, and then I'm using a corner rounder, and I'm rounding the top two corners. That's just the look that I like on there. You could certainly round all four if you wanted to. I think that having the rounded edge helps it look finished. And then I am adding some archival ink and ground espresso on all of these. That way, if there was a place where maybe I didn't cut it exactly or whatever, and also just, to go on with the vintage aged theme that we're working with here, I just like to have everything distressed. So using some art glitter glue here, and you will see me kind of fiddling with some of these just a little bit, having to hold them in place. And that's not a reflection of anything other than I did not let these images dry underneath my mat long enough, and so they want to keep curling. But this one I thought would make a really good side pocket, like tuck spot, and so I just cut that section at an angle there. I'm going to ink around the edges, and then I will only glue this down on two sides, and this is great because it will give me extra space to put in like a really large journaling card or something like that. If I want to do some other larger pieces of ephemera, like a vintage Christmas card or something like that, it just gives you a little bit more space to add some larger things. These are pretty large images anyway, pretty large pockets. So on this page, like I said, this was one I just felt like this page was kind of dark, and I wanted some more white in here, and so I used this image that was mostly white. And this is actually one where I did round all four corners, and I have no rhyme or reason for why that one just felt like I needed to do it that way, but it did, and so that's what I did. I did also do the thumb notch up at the top, and then again inked around the whole thing, and then added my glue. And I'm not going to make you watch me glue in pockets all day. You've certainly seen that before, but that's kind of the idea and my process for how I'm handling each of those. And I'll just do a quick flip through and show you kind of where everything landed. I do have some images that I thought I was going to use that I didn't, and then I left some places blank that I had some images that I didn't want those there. So, and I had some other images like that are larger that I don't have on reinforced paper yet, and so I will do that, and then I'll come back in and add those. So let me know if you would like another video in this series of this little golden book where I actually add in the rest of the pockets and start working on the journaling cards and the tags and all of those things that are going to fill these pockets. Considering doing a belly band on that page, that's just what I was showing there. And so there, I did a little side tuck for that Christmas tree, and these are the ones that just, they need backing. So anyway, if you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Be sure to check out my Facebook group and my website and Michelle's Etsy shop. All the links are in the description. And until next time, bye.